Go in the strength you have. Never retreat before the enemy is the cross. And listen to the call. Over and over, I kept going through and saying that. And in a minute, somebody said something about, well, Spring Robin has left the table up there. So I thought, well, maybe I'll attend her. She got the 10, maybe. The guy walks up to me just before we're ready to march, and he says, hey, I've got a horn. Can I be in this? Can you count me? Oh, Lord, I want to be in that number. And I said, no, I think we just registered for 300. Because I had this thing in my spirit, it's supposed to be 300. And he turned to walk away, and I said, oh, wait, come back. I want to register you right here. And I just I had a check that Rick had written me, and it was in my pocket, and I wrote his name and phone number down. I said, you're registered, and I laid hands on him and says, never retreat before the enemies of the cross, and go on the street, all the stuff I said. And I found out later that Spring had registered 9.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
And that was the 300th guy.
Hallelujah.
And I was standing at the goal line. You know how long a football field is? It's 300 feet. Touchdown.
Touchdown. Come on.
Amen. Come on. Touchdown. Hey, come on. That happened like that. It's fine. So thinking and thoughts. Okay, so when that happened, I'm going, ooh, this is getting eerie. This is getting spooky. And then I started noticing stuff. I'm saying, ooh, there may be a God. Uh-oh, there may be a God. There may be a God. There may be a God. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I start getting suspicious that God's messing with us, and I realize how this thing happened. You know, go into earth and preach the gospel, read your Bible and pray. Witness to people, make disciples. How this thing started was back in June, 1st of June, I think, something like that. I was discipling a boy by the telephone in Canada. And in the middle of the conversation, this boy, he was very young in the Lord. He says, Judges 7. He said, I heard Judges 7. When he said that, I heard, that's the 7th book, 7th chapter, look at the 7th verse. And that verse says, that verse says, the Lord said to Gideon, with the 300 men who lapped. Wait a minute. You got to do this.
Do it right.
With the 300 men who lapped. Something about holding their swords up and paying attention.
Yes.
Even while they were drinking. With the 300 men who lapped, I would deliver Midian into the hands of Israel. Tell the other guys to go back to their place. Everybody's got a place. I was calling 300 out. He was calling 300 out. And I knew it was a God word, and I preached it here on Sunday morning. That Sunday thereafter, Dion was kind enough to let me bring it, and it was a word, but I knew it was for the church, and I knew it was for the call in Nashville, 07, because it was 7th book, 7th chapter, 7th verse. And so the next week, I called Ray Hughes, and I didn't know that he was intimately connected with what was happening in Nashville at all, but I knew he knew Lou Engle and those guys, and I said, hey Ray, I was really calling to pray about the weather, to break off this drought that was sent from the Lord to humble us, to turn us, to make us pray, to humble ourselves and pray. It was really sent from the Lord, and by the word of the Lord, I promise you, that's another story. But he gave words about when the weather pattern would change and when the drought would end.
Yes.
And we got words on our Thursday night meeting, and it was awesome.
Yes.
Pause. We got a tape to turn over. Selah. Amen. All right?
As you were talking about Ray Hughes' ministry, by the way.
Yeah, Ray Hughes, that's right.
7 weeks.
Right, that's where I was. Ray Hughes. I was talking to Ray Hughes. And about the drought that was broken by the word of the Lord. It was awesome. But then I said, hey Ray, by the way, God's given me this word. I believe it's for the call in Nashville, 0707, 7th book, 7th chapter, 7th verse. And I told it to him. I said, you know Lou Engle, tell him if you get a chance. He said, Miles, he said, I'm in charge of the last 2 hours of the meeting. Our plan was to blow 7 shofars at the end of the meeting. Do you think it's possible we could come up with 300 guys, righteous, anointed guys to blow shofars? And like a dummy, I said, yeah. Stepped right into it. Stepped right in, like a dummy. He said, well, let's do it. I said, oh, wait a minute. Hey, this is a Gideon thing. We can go fleece, amen? Let's let God confirm this. How about that? Right? Okay. So we hang up the telephone. 5 minutes, Ricky Skaggs calls him and says, Ray, my son Lucas is after me about the 7th book, 7th chapter, 7th verse, and 300 guys blowing shofars at the call. What do you think? Right now it's God. And he said, yeah, I think that's God. And he calls me back. He says, got a confirmation, 5 minutes. So it didn't take long for that fleece to get wet. Somebody might ask me, do you think you're Gideon? No, I just think I'm giddy. I think I'm giddy. I've been giddy for a good while. I'm giddy over this thing, man.
Amen.
I'm excited.
Yes.
I'm excited. I'm giddy and I'm on to something.
Amen.
I'm giddy and I am definitely on to something.
Come on.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right. Moses was the meekest man on earth. All right. All right. So he says, go for it. I said, and I started registering people. You know, put them on the went bought a laptop. Put them in the laptops. The email started coming in. I started saying, well, tell me, send me some references. And I was just making them holding their feet to the fire and doing all this kind of stuff. They had to email me back and yada yada, get their phone number. I'd charge them over the email. Anyway, this thing was about Gideon. But the guy that called me, that I was discipling, who said to me, Judges 7, his name is Aries. Aries is Latin for the ram.
Yes.
Shofar is Hebrew for, or the word we translate shofar from, is Hebrew for the ram. God was in that. From the time his parents named him, the Lord was in his thing. So I'm going, whoa, uh-oh, what's going on? Let me give you another example, and then I'm going to go to my final example. This may be for somebody else out there for another reason. Maybe this is the whole reason why this has happened, so I can tell this on this tape and somebody who just needs to hear it. Recently, the Lord put in my heart, I wasn't sure with my flesh, but I said to Charles, I think I'm supposed to watch Back to the Future. I've never seen that movie. And I'm always hearing prophetic folk talk about it. I'd like to see Back to the Future. You know, God didn't say, go watch Back to the Future. I said that to Charles, and Charles says, well, I've got it in storage. And he said, I went out and bought it because Scott Jones told me, I asked Scott Jones about it. Scott Jones says, if you hadn't seen Back to the Future, you're a communist. So I went and bought all three of the series and watched it, you know. So he went and got it out of storage and we watched Back to the Future. And I was talking to Dustin the other day about it, and he said that Scott Jones told him the same thing. If you hadn't seen Back to the Future, you're a communist. So we watched Back to the Future, and it's about, part of it was about going back in time to break off a curse.
Yes.
So that America will be cursed
Yes.
30 years later.
Come on.
It's awesome.
Amen.
But at the very first scene of the very first movie, it shows a bunch of clocks. And it's 1985 when they made the movie, and it shows a very modern clock then. And it's a clock that's one of these, looks like an odometer on a car where the digits roll over, you know. 1980, very 80s-ish, you know, clock. And there they are with the digits rolling over, and it shows all these other clocks. Well, on Thursday night at our prayer meeting, a person had a vision after that, and they had been watching Back to the Future, only me. But they saw one of those 80s clocks with the numbers that roll over, and the numbers, as they looked at it, rolled over 232. I go, Lord, what? And the Lord shows me, speaks to me. Guys, last Thursday, July the 5th, 2007, America entered her 232nd year. Do you understand in the Bible when it talks about the 10th year of Nebuchadnezzar and the 5th year of Hezekiah and the 2nd year of the governor or so on? It's not talking about, the 10th year is not from the 10th anniversary to the 11th anniversary. The 10th year is from 9 to 10. You understand that? This is the 132nd year. This is the year of the Valley of Decision for America. 232
Yes.
is a big deal. It's come out of Back to the Future. And the question before the House is, can we break off this curse? Now, I said all that probably for unknown reasons. Who knows why I said that? Only God. But part of the reason, Scott Jones is on this list of 300. Anybody want to guess what his number is? 232. Reckon there's a God? Great Scott, yeah, amen. If you ain't seen Back to the Future, you a communist. I'm with him now, amen. Scott, stand up, take a bow. He's not big about it. Okay. There may be a God. So, but I'm saying several of these folks are on this list, and it's obvious that God manipulated their very position on the list.
Hallelujah.
It's scary.
Hallelujah.
Now here's what's about to get scarier as I move to the whiteboard, cameraman. Now you understand that the 273, the church is the church, and the church is all priests. Don't anybody misquote me on that, okay?
Come on.
The church is all priests. In fact, when we thought that it wasn't 500 years ago, that was the great error. But the church is all priests. And the fivefold ministries and 3 ministers are the Levites who minister to them. But the Levites are always to be kept separate in the numbering. Amen? Amen?
Amen.
273 plus 3. Amen?
Amen.
Pay attention. Pay attention. The 273rd man on the list is Aaron Kusinski, and I don't even know, we didn't even get his phone number down. There was 5 people written on a piece of paper the girls handed to me. They didn't write down the phone number. And Ellen Day come by and looked and said, what's with these 5 people here? 3 of them named Aaron. She went home to try to figure it, praying and trying to figure that thing out. I called her and told her she deserved to know. She worked so hard at this. Aaron represents the church. Aaron is the priests. Amen?
Amen.
But these other 3 guys here, 273 plus 3, they're also priests. Amen? The first one of the 3 is named Aaron, and the last one is named Aaron. I didn't manipulate this. I did not change anything. The guy in the middle is named Brand On. The 3 Levites are simply Christians with a brand on them, a mark on them for ministry.
Right.
I didn't make it up. I didn't manipulate the list. It's scary to me. I fear God too much to mess with this thing. There is a God.
Amen.
And there was something about the 300 guys doing what they did that shifted everything. There was a shift in this nation. And this nation will be a fulcrum, a lever and a fulcrum to move the rest of the world. That will be moved.
Yes.
Amen.
Some of the nations will not be moved. They will be goat nations.
That's right. Come on. Yes.
And I want to say this. As the father of 4 unmarried daughters who prophesy, I want to say this. Miss Ellen Day worked harder than any man to put this together with me. She's a lady from North Carolina. Never met her till we got to the call. I met her over email and telephone. She probably provided 60 people that made it to the list. She worked hard. And when she got to the call and found out that I had to take 40 off, no shows, she went to work. And you know what she did? She still went around recruiting guys with shofars. Not only that, get this, guys, she found 7 ladies to give up their shofars to men who didn't have them.
Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus.
Man.
Thank you.
That's Deborah.
Yes, it is.
Deborah is the first female ministry you see in the Bible, and the law of first reference is that the first time you see it in the Bible, it will tell you something about it later on. She is deferring all she can to masculine ministry, but when they won't get off their
Yes. Yes.
Man.
When they say, if you go, I'll go. Barak said to Deborah, if you go, I'll go. If you don't go, I won't go. And that's the way it is a lot of times. By the way, apostles, prophet evangelists, and pastor teachers can be ladies.
Yes.
That's thus I teach.
Amen.
Apostles, prophet evangelists, pastor teachers can be ladies. Watch out.
Amen.
Yes.
Okay. Now, in closing. Ah. Ah. I dreamed last night. Let me tell you this. A month ago, I went to Aaron Carroll's house. He's not on the list. But I went to Aaron Carroll's house to buy a knife for one of my daughter's birthday. Abigail Grace. And I bought a little knife about this big for her birthday. She was what she wanted. And on the way out, Aaron says, here, let me give you these. And he gives me 3 Chinese, Japanese swords. A little one, a medium-sized one, and a long one. And I'm going, kind of tacky looking, you know. But I take them home and they kind of start growing on me, you know. And they're as dull as they can be, but I got a grinder, and I've been grinding on them. I got these things pretty sharp, man. Last night I had a dream that I was fighting with this medium-sized sword. The middle of the 3. And the Lord said, bring that thing with you. You're moving from the little to the middle. There's something about moving from the little to the middle right now.
Yes.
And I thought, I'm doing it because it was such a word. It was such a word. I felt kind of goofy, but I didn't tell him, but I was talking to Tony Kavner from Atlanta, Georgia, about him coming over here today. He was telling me he was going to come, and he said, oh, by the way, we're bringing our swords. Okay, that might be the Lord. Go ahead, bring your swords. What is it about misery and loves company? Yeah, I don't know what all's going on, but some of it's God's just playing.
Yes.
He's a daddy.
Yes.
Amen.
Turn with me to Judges chapter 6. Judges chapter 6. In case you don't know, Judges is the 7th book of the Bible. Judges chapter 6. Y'all know the story. Gideon is, he's scared, and the people are under the spirit of poverty by Midian, and by their own hand, really.
Yes. Yes.
So Gideon is, told, go in the strength you have, and he says, who me, and that kind of stuff. And then after God gets his courage built up in these fleeces and stuff, then God speaks to him in verse 25. Chapter 6, verse 25. Of Judges. That same night the Lord said to him, that is Gideon, take the second bull from your father's herd. Second bull from your father's herd. That's strange. By the way, if you see something strange in the Bible, it's not strange, you are. Just trust it, believe it, and watch and wait, and maybe the Lord will show you why it's there. Take the second bull. Everybody say second.
Second.
Take it back. Rewind. Everybody say number 2.
Number 2.
Take the second bull from your father's herd. The one that's 7 years old. Somebody say 7.
Oh, no.
Really? And then he says, now, maybe parenthesis here, it says in my version, do these 3 things. Tear down your father's altar to Baal, cut down the Asherah pole beside it, and then build a proper kind of altar to the Lord.
Yes.
He said, take the second bull when it's 7 years old and do 3 things. These things were written down for us upon whom the end of the ages has come. Everybody's ever read that, like 153 great fish. Says, what is the second bull? It's 7 years old. I mean, I bet there's a lot of really good sermons preached about that. The second bull is an alternate bull, or it's the... Now, look, guys. This is about 273. This is about now. This is here. This is for here. This is for now. It may be other things too. Yeah, never just saying one thing. But this is for now. This is for here. For such a time as this, we have come to the kingdom and we have shifted. Something has happened. And we don't know all of it yet, by any means. Go in the strength you have. Never retreat before the enemies of the cross.
Amen.
And listen for the call. Guys, listen for the call. Amen? Amen. Thank you, Father. 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 Thank you. Amen. Amen. All right. You can cut the camera off now.